If you've ever been confused as to what you should be doing to get better at basketball, reach your goals, whether it be the workouts you should be doing, the drills that you're doing, the way that you should be approaching the game, right now I'm going to give you the 6 laws to improvement. And if you understand these 6 things and you apply them, you are guaranteed to get way better at basketball. The question is not if you're going to get better, it's when you're going to get better. Now, before we dive into the video, I'm super excited to announce that I just launched a free 28-day Basketball IQ email course. So every single day, I'm going to send you a lesson from this course in your email. It's going to help you to become a better decision maker, see the game better, understand how to actually train to see results in games. And the goal is that it helps you become a player that your coach trusts and that you have confidence in yourself every time you step on the court. It's completely free. Click the top link down below in the description to check it out. So diving into the laws, law number 1 is the law of presence. Now, this is the first one because it is the most foundational. And honestly, if you could only take one of these, it should be this one. The law of presence just means that you need to show up consistently every single day because that is the absolute hardest thing to do. And if you can do it, eventually you're going to beat everybody else around you because most of them are not going to be able to keep that same pace up. Now, what's really important for you to understand is that progress is not linear, right? Everybody wants progress to mean, okay, well, I go to the gym and I do my workout and I get 1% better. And then the next day I show up again and I'm 1% better. Then the next day I show up and maybe I get 2% better because I'm working out for a while. And they think that progress should just keep going up at the same rate. Like we're robots or we're computers, but we're not, we're humans. So progress is not linear. There are going to be days where you go to the gym, do a workout, you leave feeling great. You feel like you got better. You might go back the next day, do the same workout and feel terrible and feel like you maybe got worse. So instead of it being linear, a lot of times you have days where you feel great, you feel bad, you're not sure if you got any better, but that trend is going to constantly go up. So as long as you keep showing up, whether you felt good the day before, felt bad, whether you think you got better, whether you feel like you got worse, if you keep showing up, you're going to move the right direction, but it's not going to feel linear. It's not going to feel like you got the same amount better every single day. It's just not how it works. And a lot of players can't handle that, so they quit early. The reality of it is you usually don't get that much better in the actual workout that you're doing, right? It's when you leave and your brain is able to make connections with what works, what didn't work, and those experiences that shape you. Then you come back the next time with those experiences having been reinforced, and that is where you get better. So no matter whether you feel great, you feel terrible, you have to continue to show up because results compound. And when you allow that compound action to happen, I think Albert Einstein called compounding the 8th wonder of the world. You being able to show up even on those bad days is what is going to separate you from everybody else. Law number 2 is the law of edge of ability. In order for you to get better, you need to be training at the edge of your ability. And that just means right at the edge to where you might fail, you're uncomfortable, you might not be able to make the shot, you might lose the basketball, you might miss the finish. You need to be right at the edge of what you're capable of doing, and you need to be there as much as possible if you want that edge of ability, your capacity to actually expand. Now, we refer to this as being in the Goldilocks zone, meaning a lot of players, when they go work out, they measure the success of their workout with how great they looked. How many shots did they make? What percentage were they shooting at? Did they miss a lot? Did they not miss a lot? And if everything looks good, if they made a bunch of shots, they didn't miss, they didn't lose the ball, then it was a good workout. In reality, we want to be in what's called the Goldilocks zone, which just means that in a workout, for the most part, we want to be failing anywhere from 30 to 70% of the time. So if you are succeeding 80, 90, 100% of the time in your workouts, it means that your workouts are too easy and they're not actually stretching you to the edge of your ability, meaning nothing in your brain is signaling, hey, we've got to improve this skill. Because why would you? You're already great at it. So you're not going to get any better. You're simply going in there, getting a workout in and maybe, improving your cardio, but your actual skill level doesn't have to be improved because it's not being challenged at all. So we can do this by, number 1, making drills harder. So, if it is a ball handling drill, maybe you go faster. If it's a shooting drill, maybe you shoot the ball a little bit faster to the point where it's maybe a little bit uncomfortable, like you're getting, closed out to, or, end of the clock or whatever. Maybe you shoot from farther back, and that makes it more difficult for you, right? Maybe you're great at shooting high school threes, so you start shooting NBA threes. That's something that I always do with my players who are going from high school and to college the next year is their junior year of high school. As soon as their season's done, the entire offseason leading up to their senior year, we only shoot college blind threes because they're going to struggle with that just couple steps back. But 2 things. First of all, it's going to help prepare them for the college level the year after next. They're going to have 2 full off seasons of training it. But the second thing is they're going to get back their senior year of high school, and that high school 3 is going to be so easy for them because we've put them at the edge of their ability by moving them back, and Now, when they get into games, it feels a lot easier to execute and do their job. We can add pressure into our drills. So a really simple way to do this with shooting is that instead of having to make 5 shots at a spot to move on, you have to make 3 in a row or 4 in a row or 5 in a row, so that now you're really challenging your ability to string makes together and deal with the pressure of, oh man, I made 3 in a row, I got to make this next one or I'm back to 0. So that's another way that we can add that as well. Bad passes are a really simple one that we can do. It's really easy to make those open shots when it's a great pass, but how about when the pass is a little high, a little low, to the left, to the right, whatever. When we talk about ball handling, being able to go fast enough that you're losing the ball a lot more, right? I always tell my players, if you're not losing the basketball, then you're not going hard enough. You're not putting yourself in a position where you have to get better if there's no challenge involved. And then with shooting, kind of like what I mentioned, adding constraints is a great way to put you at the edge of your ability. So makes in a row, fatigue, footwork, changing all that stuff up, adding defense in is a really great way to do that as well. You could think of getting better at basketball like lifting weights and getting stronger. If you go into the weight room and you lift, let's say you bench press 100 pounds, and at first it's difficult, but eventually it becomes easy. You never increase that weight or you never increase the reps. You just stick with 100 pounds for 5 reps. Eventually you stop getting stronger because your body's not being challenged. Therefore, you're not forcing yourself to build more muscle. Your brain's like, why would I spend any energy building more muscle when we don't need it? And that's the exact same process your brain is thinking through whenever you're doing something that's not challenging. Why would I put any mental energy into improving their motor skills when there's no need to do that? I can conserve that energy. You have to force your brain to make you improve. You have to do it. Law number 3 is the law of specificity. This is such a crucial one. I think it's really overlooked by players all the time. You get better at what you actually do. If you want to handle pressure, if that's maybe your biggest struggle is handling ball pressure in games, you need to go and train against ball pressure more. If you want to hit more threes in games, you need to work on hitting threes in a game context, right? So pressure, defense, all that sort of stuff. If you want to get better at the thing, do the thing more. The problem is that a lot of players do drills that aren't actually getting them better at the game itself. A lot of stationary ball handling drills are this. Not all of them. There are some stationary drills that I absolutely love, but there's a lot of stationary drills that to me aren't really preparing you for what you're going to be asked to do in games. It's not following the law of specificity. And even when we talk about something like form shooting, if that's a large majority of your shooting work, how is that going to prepare you to actually go into a game and make shots when there are 5 defenders trying to stop you from actually doing it? So a really simple way of making sure that you follow this law is to see defense as much as you possibly can. Ideally every single day. 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 5-on-5, it doesn't matter. But when you actually are playing against somebody who is trying to stop you from being successful, that is where we get into real basketball. And it's hard to simulate that with just drills alone. Drills can be important. There are certainly ways that you can use drills to benefit you. But when we talk about getting better at things like handling ball pressure and, making more shots from the perimeter, you have to do those things more. And it's tough to find a substitute for them. So see defense as much as possible. That's also going to build basketball IQ. It's going to build your confidence, and obviously it's going to build those skills that actually transfer into real games. Law number 4 is the law of purposefulness. And this is a really important one as well. It is so important that you are crystal clear on what it is that you actually are trying to get better at. You have to always know why are you in the gym? Like, what are you here to do? What would success look like for you? So for example, you want to become a reliable ball handler under pressure, or you want to hit 2+ threes per game. You need to make sure that everything you're doing is built around achieving those things. Hey, going into next year, I need to be a much better ball handler because maybe our last point guard graduated. I'm going to have to handle the ball a little bit more. But going back to the law of specificity, you don't work on training against ball pressure at all. All of a sudden, your purposefulness is not there. So you're going to struggle to actually see the results in games that you want. You need to go into workouts and games with that purpose in mind. And as simple as this sounds, a lot of players don't do it. They're just kind of floating around hoping that they get better. But if you're very clear on the 2 or 3 things that you need to get better at, and that drives everything that you do, you're going to be in a really good position moving forward. Now, law number 5 is the law of discomfort. And I think that this is such a big mindset shift where not only is discomfort a great thing, but it's something that you need to seek out and sit in regularly. Be willing to put yourself in discomfort for extended amounts of time. Because the truth of it is, like, people think of training, like I mentioned earlier, as a successful workout is one where you make every shot. It's one where you don't lose the basketball. It's one where you look great, like you're in an NBA pre-draft workout or something, right? They think that not messing up equates with it being great. But the reality of it is that success is failing. It's being frustrated. It's pushing through. And a couple examples of what this might look like would be playing against tougher competition as often as you possibly can. I used to talk about how I would go and play in these pickup runs with these college players, with like players who are really good. I'd walk in and think to myself, like, man, I'm the worst player in here. And that was such a, that was probably the most beneficial thing that I ever put myself through, was being in a gym where I could look around and see people who were going to challenge me. And that, I think, is a really important thing to do. But a lot of players shy away from ever putting themselves in situations where they're not the best or they're not one of the best. And that is something that significantly limits you, because even if you look bad in those situations, it's going to teach you so much. It's going to force you to get better. It's going to force you to raise your level. And that discomfort is the best possible thing for you. That's the first thing. So whether that means you going and finding the best players you possibly can to play one-on-one with, 3-on-3, whatever, going to put yourself in a gym with the goal of being the worst player in there, that's the best thing you can do for yourself. Most players avoid discomfort, and that's why most players don't get that much better and they don't reach their actual potential. You want to choose that hard path as much as possible. Now, law number 6 is the law of creativity, and this is another one that I think is super important but really overlooked. Basketball isn't rigid. Basketball is a game that is based on problem solving, and everybody's going to solve problems differently. But the most important thing is, when I think about what a great player is, I think of a great player is equivalent to a great problem solver. If you have all the skills in the world, but you can't solve problems, you can't figure it out when things break down, you have to make a play, then you're not a great player. So you need to build that ability to be creative, solve more problems. This is where I think adding in times where you just experiment in workouts and you use freestyles when it comes to dribbling to be able to get good at just mixing up how you do things. Okay, I'm not stuck to just a between the legs crossover. I can go between the legs behind the back depending on how my defender plays it. As an example, I can finish in different unorthodox ways with either hand from different angles because I've been creative and I've experimented with it. Those are ways that you build that ability to be creative and to be a problem solver. So for example, a couple drills that you could do that would kind of follow this would be different look shooting. So we're thinking about, even if it's from the same spot, every shot's got to be different. So the first one in the corner might be a catch and shoot 3. The next one might be a 2-dribble pull-up. The next one might be a float into a 3. The next one might be a catch and shoot 3 off of a back pedal. The next one might be a catch and shoot 3 off of a slide. So we're just mixing up. We're making a shot from the same general area, but the way that we're actually getting into it is different every single time, building our ability to be a problem solver in any situation. Or you can even do that same drill where you're just shooting from a different spot every time. So you might shoot a catch and shoot 3 from the wing, then from the top of the key, then from the corner, then from the slot, whatever. Same sort of idea with that. A 5-minute finishing freestyle. I think this is really, really good, where you're just finishing around the rim, but you can't do the same finish 2 times in a row. So got to mix it up: 1 foot, 2 feet, left hand, right hand, reverse, regular, floater, over the front of the rim. Like you just find ways to challenge yourself when it comes to your creativity within that 5 minutes. And that's how you build that ability to be a problem solver around the rim. And then ball handling, I think that a really great way of doing this is just, there should be probably 5 or 10 minutes in every workout that you do that is dedicated to some sort of freestyle drill where there's no scripted, I got to do this dribble, then that dribble. It's just you being able to experiment and mess around and figure out what works best for you. And then when you get into a game, you're going to be able to do those things much, much, much easier. If you want to become a great player, your thought needs to be, how do I build more solutions to problems? Confidence comes from knowing that you have what it takes to be successful in any given situation. So if you lack confidence in games, it's because you don't trust your ability to solve a specific problem that may come up for you. So by becoming a better problem solver, it's going to help you to become more confident. We do that by building that creativity and building those different ways that we can actually be problem solvers. So a couple things that's really important to understand. Basketball is so much more about the person than it is the player, because I know so many players that I've been around who they're great athletes. Maybe they have a really good skill, but they get into games, and because they don't have the habits, they don't have the approach that's correct, they aren't close to as good as they could be. And so I think when we look at it from this perspective, if you just internalize these six laws, right? I have here like person, habits, identity, player, right? That's really the process. You want to become the person deserving of that success first. That's going to lead to the habits that are going to be successful. That's going to ultimately lead you to adopt the identity of that player. And then next thing you know, that's going to translate into you being a great player on the court. If you do these 6 things and it becomes who you are, like I said, the question is not whether or not you're going to get better. It's when, like how quick is it going to happen? Because it's inevitable if you do. Like I mentioned earlier, check out my free 28-day basketball IQ emo course down below. I'm super excited to get that going. And it's been really awesome to see how it's been affecting players already, even though it's just been out for a couple of days. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think down below. Appreciate you for watching. Talk soon. Peace.